My name is on a loan document my parents asked me to sign 4 years ago. Last week, they tried to sell the house that loan helped buy and hand every single dollar to my brother. They forgot I still had the email. I'm 31 years old. I work in software development, I pay my bills on time, and until recently, I believed my parents were decent people who loved both their children equally. I know better now. Let me go back to the beginning, because this story only makes sense if you understand how it started and how long I let it go on. My brother is 4 years older than me. His name doesn't matter for this story, so I'll just call him what our parents always called him, the one who needed more help. That was the phrase they used my entire childhood. Not a bad kid, not irresponsible, just someone who needed more help. When he failed out of his first college after 2 semesters, he needed more help. When his first business lost money, he needed more help. When his second business lost money, he needed more help. By the time I graduated with a computer science degree and landed my first real job, my brother had needed more help approximately 11 times, and my parents had quietly provided it each time without much discussion. I told myself it was fine. He was struggling, and I wasn't. I had a good salary, my own apartment, money and savings. I didn't need anything from them. So I smiled at holidays and I kept my mouth shut, and I told myself that's what good daughters do. Then, 4 years ago, my parents called me with a proposal. They had found a 2-bedroom condo about 40 minutes from their house. The price was $310,000. Their plan was to rent it out, generate income, and eventually sell it at a profit, a small family investment, they called it. The problem was that their credit had taken some hits over the years, largely due to some of the more help they had quietly extended to my brother. They couldn't get a favorable loan rate on their own. My credit score, on the other hand, was excellent. They asked if I would co-sign the mortgage with them. I asked what that meant for me practically. My mother said I would be listed on the loan and on the deed as a co-owner. My father said any profit from the eventual sale would be split half to them, half to me. I would not need to pay anything toward the mortgage. They would cover it entirely from rental income. My only contribution was my name and my credit. I said I needed to think about it. I thought about it for a week. I talked to a friend who had done something similar with her parents. I looked up what co-signing a mortgage actually meant legally. I understood the risks. I also, I will admit, felt something I hadn't felt in a long time when it came to my family, like I was being asked to participate. Like I was being included. My brother had gotten money, and second chances and quiet bailouts for years. This was my parents asking me to be part of something. I wanted to believe that meant something. I agreed, with one condition. I wanted it in writing. My mother seemed mildly offended by that. My father just nodded and said that was reasonable. We sat down together, and my father typed up a simple document on his laptop, nothing formal, no lawyer involved, just a clear written agreement that I was a co-owner on the deed, that the mortgage would be paid from rental income, and that upon sale of the property, net proceeds would be divided 50% to my parents and 50% to me. We all signed it. My mother made a copy. My father emailed the document to me and to himself. I saved that email. I saved the attachment. I moved it into a folder I labeled Property Agreement. And I did not think about it again for a long time. Because I had no reason to. The condo was rented within 3 months. The tenants paid on time. My parents sent me a brief update every few months. Everything was fine. For 4 years, everything was fine. Then this past spring, my parents told me they were thinking about selling. The market had been good. The condo had appreciated significantly. They had gotten an informal estimate from a real estate agent somewhere in the range of $620,000 to $650,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage balance, the net proceeds would be roughly $480,000. My heart did the math automatically. $240,000 to them, $240,000 to me. Enough to pay off my car, pad my emergency fund, maybe finally start seriously saving for a home of my own. My mother mentioned the potential sale casually over the phone, almost like she was reporting the weather. She said they were just exploring options. She said nothing needed to be decided right away. I said that sounded reasonable, and we moved on to talking about other things. 2 weeks later, my brother called me. He and his wife were having serious problems. They had been living beyond their means for years, a house they couldn't really afford, credit card debt, a third business venture that had quietly collapsed 6 months ago without him telling anyone. He was devastated. He sounded genuinely broken in a way I hadn't heard from him before. I listened for almost an hour. I felt sorry for him. I told him I hoped things would get better. I meant it. What I did not know while I was sitting on my couch listening to my brother cry about his financial situation was that my parents were already on the phone with a real estate agent scheduling a listing appointment for the condo. I found out a month later when my mother called and said the condo was going on the market. I said great, that I was looking forward to my half of the proceeds. There was a pause. My mother said she needed to talk to me about that. I felt something shift in my chest. Not panic, not yet. Just a quiet, cold awareness that something was wrong. She explained, in the careful tone she used when she was about to say something she knew I wouldn't like, that they had been thinking a lot about my brother's situation, that he was in real trouble, that his marriage might not survive if they didn't get some stability soon. That the children, my niece and nephew, ages 6 and 4, deserved a stable home. She said that she and my father had decided that the proceeds from the condo sale would go to helping my brother get back on his feet, buy out his lease early, pay off the most urgent debt, maybe help with a down payment on something more reasonable. I waited for her to get to the part about my share. She didn't get to that part. She just stopped talking and waited. I asked very quietly what she was saying about my 50%. She said she hoped I could understand that my brother needed this more than I did. She said I had a good job and a stable life. She said sometimes family meant making sacrifices. She said she knew it wasn't easy to hear. I asked her if she was telling me she planned to give my brother my share of the sale proceeds. She said she was asking me to be flexible. I have thought about that word many times since then. Flexible. Like my legal ownership of that property was just a preference that could be bent if someone else needed something badly enough. I did not yell. I did not cry. I asked her to let me think about it, and I got off the phone. I sat in my kitchen for a long time. I am not someone who reacts quickly to upsetting things. I tend to go quiet and think, which is probably why my family has sometimes assumed I am a pushover. I was working through what I actually wanted to do. By the time I went to bed that night, I had decided. I was not going to be flexible. The next morning, I opened my email and found the folder labeled Property Agreement. I read the document again carefully. My name on the deed. 50% of net proceeds upon sale. Signed by all three of us. I forwarded it to myself on my phone so I would have it accessible. Then I contacted a real estate attorney. I want to be clear about something. I did not do this because I am a vengeful person. I did not do this to punish my brother, who is struggling with real problems that I do genuinely feel for. I did it because $240,000 is not a small thing. It is the difference between renting for another decade and having a home of my own. It is 4 years of my credit carrying that mortgage. It is my name on a legal document, which means my legal rights are real and cannot simply be overridden because my mother decided to be flexible with them. The attorney confirmed what I already knew. I was a co-owner on the deed. Any sale required my agreement. The proceeds were legally bound by our written contract. If my parents attempted to complete the sale and distribute the funds without honoring that contract, I had clear legal grounds to intervene. She also told me something I hadn't known. Since I was on the deed, I would be notified directly by the title company as part of the closing process. She advised me to contact the title company proactively and put them on notice that there was a contractual dispute regarding distribution of proceeds. I did that the next day. I did not tell my parents I had done it. I did not call my mother back to have another conversation about being flexible. I did not call my father to see if he remembered what he had written in that email. I did not call my brother. I just quietly put the right people on notice and I waited. The sale moved forward. They accepted an offer $641,000. After the remaining mortgage balance, the net proceeds came out to $487,000. My share, per our agreement, $243,500. 3 days before the scheduled closing, my father called me. He sounded stiff and formal in a way he never usually did, and I knew immediately that something had happened. He said the title company had reached out to him. He said there appeared to be a complication with the closing. He asked me if I knew anything about that. I said yes. I told him I had contacted the title company to make sure the proceeds were distributed according to our signed agreement. There was a long silence. He said he thought we had talked about this. I said that the conversation I remembered was one where Mom asked me to give up my legal share, and I said I needed to think about it. I said I had thought about it. I was not giving up my share. He said my brother really needed this. I said I understood that, and I was sorry my brother was struggling, and I hoped things got better for him and for his kids. I also said that $243,500 was not mine to give away. It was money I had earned by putting my credit and my name on the line for 4 years, and I was not signing off on a closing that didn't honor our agreement. He told me I was being selfish. I told him I disagreed, and I said goodbye. My mother called an hour later. Then again the next morning. I let her leave voicemails. In the first one, she was calm and sad, saying she hoped I would reconsider. In the second one, she was crying and saying that I was tearing the family apart over money, that she hadn't raised me to be this way. I listened to both messages. I did not call her back. My brother called that evening. He didn't yell or cry. He just said he needed me to understand how bad things were. He described in detail the debt, the failing marriage, the kids, the sleepless nights. It was painful to listen to. I said I heard him, and I was genuinely sorry. I also said that I could not sign away my legal share of a property I co-owned. I told him I hoped he could find another path forward, and that I would be willing to talk to him again once the closing was settled. He hung up without saying goodbye. The closing happened 5 days later than originally scheduled. The title company required all co-owners to sign the distribution agreement. I signed one that reflected the 50-50 split in our contract. My parents had no legal way to override it. The funds were distributed accordingly. My parents did not speak to me for 6 weeks after that. I will tell you honestly that those 6 weeks were both painful and surprisingly peaceful. Painful because they are my parents and I love them, whatever has happened. Peaceful because I slept without dread for the first time in months. I had done the right thing. Not the easy thing. Not the thing that made everyone comfortable, the right thing. My brother and his wife did end up separating, though I heard from an aunt that they are now trying counseling rather than proceeding with divorce. I don't know if they will make it. I hope they do, for my niece and nephew's sake. My parents eventually reached out. My mother called on a Sunday afternoon and said she wanted to talk. I said I was willing to talk. She apologized, not fully, not cleanly, but she said she had handled it wrong. She said she should have talked to me differently. She did not say she was wrong to try to give away my share, but she said she was sorry for how it went. I accepted that. I did not pretend things were fine. I did not hug it out and declare it over. But I stayed on the phone for 40 minutes, and we talked about normal things by the end, and that felt like a start. My father has not apologized. He is not someone who apologizes easily. He called me last month about something unrelated, and we talked for 10 minutes, and it was awkward but not hostile. I think that is probably the best I can expect from him for a while, and I have made my peace with that. With my share of the proceeds, I put $200,000 toward the down payment on a 2-bedroom house in a neighborhood I have wanted to live in for years. I close next month. The remaining $43,500 is sitting in a high-yield savings account, partly as an emergency fund, and partly because I haven't decided yet what I want to do with it. I have thought about donating a portion to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students in memory of a professor I had in college who told me, when I was doubting whether I belonged in that program, that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I think I will do that. It feels right. I want to say one more thing before I finish, because I think it is the most important part of this story, and it is easy to miss. I did not win because I was smarter than my parents, or because I got lucky. I won, if that is even the right word, because I asked for something in writing when everyone else assumed a handshake was enough. I won because I saved a document in a folder and did not delete it when things seemed fine. I won because when the moment came, I did not yell or threaten or make a scene. I just quietly showed the piece of paper that had always been there. Most people who get taken advantage of by family don't get taken advantage of all at once. It happens slowly, in small accommodations, in moments of being flexible, in the assumption that love means you don't need to protect yourself. I was lucky enough to have protected myself once, without fully knowing why, and that protection held when I needed it most. If someone you love is asking you to be part of something, anything, get it in writing. Not because you don't trust them, but because trust and documentation are not opposites. You can love someone completely and still have a signed agreement. The agreement isn't a sign that you doubt them. It is a sign that you take the arrangement seriously enough to make it real. I have a closing date. I have a folder on my phone with every document I might ever need. And I have a new rule for myself. The next time someone tells me to just be flexible, I'm going to remember exactly what that word cost me the first time I believed it.